Hello and welcome to a demonstration of the Shareholders Register 5.0. It is the electronic version of the paper-based system currently being used by many companies around the world. The interface is quite simple with an Outlook-style menu on the left, commonly used and important functions across here, and a drop-down menu for less common options in the taskbar. At the bottom you can see the current company, date, year ending date, and the logged on username. Let's have a look at the setup option. In overall control you enter the registration as well as other company-wide details. Most of the fields are self-explanatory, but you can use the mouse right-click or the help manual to explain the finer points. The email settings are the same as what appears in Outlook, for example. The user-defined descriptions will appear in your shareholders master and on reports. You may choose another graphic as your wallpaper if you wish. Once purchased, enter your registration details to activate the software. In company setup we enter the specific parameters that affect how the individual company is set up. Remember, the software is multi-company and each company will have different characteristics. The start and year-end dates are quite important as this determines how the transactions are summarized. Upload your logo and signatory information here. I will come back to share type and transaction type when we are looking at a transaction batch. New company is used to create a new company or to modify details of an existing company. When you do the year end you may create an archived company, which is a snapshot of the current company. The email option setup should be set up correctly to allow you to send mail out of the software. Have a look at the equivalent setup in Outlook or talk to your network administrator. To send merged mail, all you have to do is select the letter and click Send Email. The letter is created in Reports Mail Merge Maintain Letter. In User Access you may choose what you would allow the selected user to access or deny. The register is perhaps where you would be most of the time. Shareholders is the master file which holds all the shareholder details. Again, all fairly self-explanatory fields. The share summary shows the sum totals per share type for this shareholder. Share transactions shows every transaction that makes up the summary, and the document library shows all the documents that may be attached to this shareholder for easy reference. The Send button can transfer details of the browse window to a file of your choosing. Replace with a useful name and extension, example, summary.xls or summary.xlsx. If you have a lot of shareholders, it would be easier to import them from an Excel CSV file rather than typing them all in. To have a look at the file format you may export the sample file out. Appendix C at the end of the manual shows the field names. Ensure that any numeric fields do not contain commas. When your file is ready, use the Delete Data Files utility to delete all the sample data and use the Import Shareholders utility to upload from the CSV file. Next we come to transaction processing. You must first enter the different type of shares that is handled within your company. Next we'll look at transaction types. Here we have allotment, which is the initial pool allocation, i.e. how many shares do we have for a particular share type. All the shares are unallocated at this point. Then we have an issue share type, where the shares are allocated to a shareholder from the unallocated pool. Lastly we have transfers, which is when shares are sold by one shareholder to another. The dividend type does not affect the number of shares. Now let's look at the actual transaction batches. We can delete the sample data using the Delete Data Files utility. Let's create an allotment batch with 100,000 shares at $1 each. We have now created a pool of 100,000 unallocated shares. Now let's create an issues batch. For this type the contra or transfer is unallocated as shown in the transaction type. Let us allocate 20,000 shares to Andrew Brown. Let us allocate another 40,000 shares to Brad Williams. $10,000 shares to Marcus Selby. and 25,000 shares to Darren Pupa. This means we should have 5,000 shares still unallocated. Finally, let's look at moving shares from one shareholder to another using a transfer batch. Choose your transferee and transferor and number of shares. Use the escrow function if you don't want the shares unsold before a certain date. Also attach any document that may relate to that transaction. Once all the transaction information has been entered, run the Refresh Summaries option to summarize the transactional data by share type or class. If you go into a shareholder record, you can now see all the relevant data. You may scan documents, save into the Documents folder and attach it as a system-wide document, a shareholder document or a transactional document. When doing the year-end, you can't take a snapshot of the current year's data into a new company. It will also advance the year start and end dates by 1 year. I'll let you explore the reports, certificates and mail merge functions yourself. Thank you for watching.